4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. If you've never seen Lost, those are just 6 numbers. If you have, you probably felt something when you read them, a little chill, a little grin, maybe the urge to say them out loud in order, because once this show puts them in your head, they never leave. They're on t-shirts. They're in other TV shows. For years, real people played them in real lotteries, thousands of people every week, because of what happens in this story. 6 numbers. And in season 1 of Lost, they show up in 3 impossible places on a lottery ticket, in a radio signal that's been repeating for 16 years, and stamped into a metal door buried in the middle of the jungle. No character in season 1 can explain it. The show doesn't explain it. And that refusal, that itch you cannot scratch, is maybe the purest example of how Lost hooked an entire planet. So this is the story of the numbers, where they appear, what they cost, and why 6 digits became the most famous mystery on television. Spoiler-free for everything past season 1, as always. Let's get into it. The numbers enter the show through the last person you'd expect, the nicest guy on the island. Hurley, Hugo Reyes. If you've been following this series, you've met the beach's broken people. The leader cracking under the weight, the fugitive in disguise, the con man punishing himself. Hurley is none of that. He's warm, funny, generous, the guy who checks on everyone. The closest thing the island has to pure sunlight, which is exactly why the show gives him the curse. Because that's what Hurley believes the numbers are, a curse, his curse. Here's his story, and the way season 1 tells it is half comedy, half horror. Before the crash, Hurley was an ordinary guy, worked at a chicken joint, lived with his mom, no drama. And then one night he goes on TV and wins the lottery, a record jackpot, $156 million. The numbers he played, 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. It should be the best day of his life. It's the last good one. Because after the win, things start happening around Hurley. His grandfather, his house, his business ventures, the people near him. I'll spare the itemized list. The show plays some of it for dark laughs and some of it dead serious. But the pattern is unmistakable and it escalates. Everyone the money touches gets hurt, and everything Hurley builds with it burns down, sometimes literally. The world tells him it's coincidence. Rich people attract chaos, bad luck is just luck. But Hurley counts. He watches. And what he sees isn't randomness, it's aim. The disasters aren't landing near him. They're landing on everyone he loves, one by one, in a ring around him, while he stands untouched in the center like the eye of something. So he asks the obvious question, where did these numbers come from? And this is where the story tips from unlucky into genuinely eerie. Hurley didn't invent those numbers. He heard them from a man in the psychiatric institution where Hurley himself once spent time. A patient who did nothing but repeat them over and over like a prayer or a warning, 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. And when Hurley tracks the trail backward, and he does, all the way to the other side of the world, right before boarding a certain flight home from Sydney, he learns the man heard them somewhere too. A transmission, years ago, picked up over the Pacific, a string of numbers broadcast from somewhere in the ocean that seems to attach itself to people and unmake their lives. That's what Hurley believes he's carrying when Oceanic 815 takes off, and the plane he's carrying it on tears out of the sky. Now, is Hurley right? Season 1's genius is that it gives you both answers at once. On one hand, no, of course not. Numbers are numbers. Hurley is a sweet, suggestible guy with a history of mental health struggles and a run of horrific luck, and human brains are pattern machines. We find faces in clouds and messages in static. Every hit has a mundane explanation if you want one. The show even puts this argument in the mouths of characters we trust. When Hurley finally tells someone the whole story, expecting horror, he gets a shrug, the curse is in his head. On the other hand, and here's the show grinning at you, you have watched a season of television in which those numbers keep appearing where they cannot possibly be. Because Hurley's lottery ticket is only appearance number 1. Appearance number 2, the French transmission. Early in the season, the survivors pick up a distress signal, a woman's voice repeating in French that has been looping from somewhere on this island for 16 years. The survivors focus on the woman, and fair enough, she's a whole story herself. But the transmission the doomed science team was chasing when they wrecked here, the broadcast that lured them into the island's grip in the first place. Numbers, the same 6 numbers. Which means Hurley's curse didn't start with a lottery machine in California. It started here. The island was saying these numbers into the dark for years before any of these people crashed. And one thread of that broadcast wormed its way across the ocean, through a radio, through a hospital ward, into a lottery ticket, and dragged Hugo Reyes home to the place it came from, Follow that chain once and the word coincidence starts to buckle. And then there's appearance number 3, and it's the one that breaks people, the hatch. If you've seen my other videos, you know the hatch, the sealed metal door lock, finds buried in the jungle, the obsession of the season's back half, the mystery the finale is built around. Late in the season, Hurley is with the group hauling explosives to blow it open, trudging through the jungle, when he happens to glance at the hatch's surface. And there, embossed in the metal of a door that has been buried on this island since long before he ever picked 6 numbers in a lottery, 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. The show gives this moment to Hurley alone. Nobody else understands what he's looking at. And the sweetest man on the island, the one who spent the season keeping everyone's spirits up, absolutely loses it, screaming that the hatch can't be opened, that the numbers are bad, while everyone stares at him like he's cracked. That's the cruelest part of the curse. If it is one, it comes with proof only Hurley can read. He's Cassandra on a beach full of skeptics, holding a warning nobody else can see, and the season ends with the warning ignored, the hatch blown open, the darkness below waiting, and the numbers stamped right there on the door like a signature. So what are they? Season 1's honest answer is, nobody knows. And I want to defend that answer because it's the whole magic trick. The numbers work on you precisely because they're patterned without explanation. 6 digits is exactly the right amount of structure, too specific to be random, too arbitrary to decode. Your brain does the rest. And the show understood something profound about mystery that 1,000 imitators since have gotten wrong. An answer closes a question, but a pattern opens 100. Viewers in 2004 didn't just watch the numbers, they hunted them. Added them, 108, by the way, file that away. Mapped them onto seat rows and sports jerseys and dates, built forums, played them in actual lotteries in such volume that when a real drawing years later happened to land near Hurley's numbers, thousands of people split the prize. The show had escaped the television. 6 digits had become a shared hallucination, a piece of folklore, a thing strangers could say to each other at parties and instantly be friends. That's not marketing. You can't buy that. It only happens when a mystery is shaped exactly right. And notice what the numbers are doing inside the story too, because it's the same trick at a different scale. Every impossible thing in season 1, the monster, the polar bear, the healed man, the ship in the jungle, could, if you squint, be an island of separate weirdness. The numbers are the thread. They stitch Hurley's past to the French woman's tragedy to Locke's hatch, and in doing so, they whisper the season's most important promise. It's all connected. There's a design here. Someone or something is upstream of all of it. Season 1 never shows you the source, but the numbers are the proof it exists, the watermark on every page. They're the show telling you, keep watching. This means something. Does it? I'm not going to spoil where the numbers go. What I'll say is that the question of whether they're a curse, a code, or a coincidence outlives season 1 by a long way, and that Hurley's story is far from over. But here's the thought I want to leave you with, because it's what the numbers are really about, underneath the mystery. Hurley wins $156 million, and it makes him the loneliest man alive. Not because of the disasters, because of the knowing. He's the only person who can see the pattern, and every time he tries to show someone, they look at him with pity. The numbers take the friendliest man in the world and lock him inside a truth no one will share. And then a plane crash strands him on an island where, for the first time, the pattern is stamped in metal where other people can eventually see it too. There's a strange mercy in that. Lost is a show about broken strangers discovering they're connected, and the numbers are that theme in its purest form, a curse that turns out to be a thread, tying one lonely man to a signal, a shipwreck, a door in the ground, and everyone he's about to go through hell with. 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. 6 numbers, 1 island, and the best unanswered question on television. So, curse or coincidence? Give me your verdict in the comments. Spoiler free as always. First timers, I promise the rabbit hole is worth it. This is part of my Lost Season 1 series. Jack, Kate, Locke, and Sawyer are all up if you want the survivors behind the mystery. Subscribing genuinely helps a small channel like this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the island.